Hey everyone, this is Dr. Kalie Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Dr. Kalie Judge. Dr. Kalie is doing some amazing work and is helping so many people, so I'm excited to have her on to share her story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Kalie Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, also be sure to check out the Shop tab where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which applies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Dr. Kalie Judge. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Kalie and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Dr. Kalie Judge, and Dr. Kalie is a family wellness chiropractor, and her and her brother, Dr. James Judge, own Judge Family Chiropractic in Illinois. And I love the work Dr. Kalie is doing, and she's just changing so many lives. So, Dr. Kalie, just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah, no problem, Dr. Kalie. I'm excited to be here with you. I've been listening to a few of your podcasts over the time. And it's just, I just think what you're doing is just so phenomenal for giving people just such great information. So I'm honored to be a part of it. So thanks for having me on.
I appreciate that. And Dr. Kalie and I were talking beforehand how we have like a million of the same friends, but we've never met in person, and it's totally unacceptable. So we got to change that soon.
Yeah, we'll make that happen next time we're in the same space. It's funny how that happens, especially like with the internet world right now on podcasts and stuff. And like, you feel like you almost like know somebody,
right?
Because like you can I can follow you on like your Instagram stories, and you can follow me, and like that's like what's going on through my day or through your day. And so it's like, oh yeah, like we're friends. I know that person. And then like, right. You think about it, like, no, you've actually never met that person in your life. So
we've never hugged. We have to seal the deal.
We got a hug. You seal it with a hug, and then everything's good.
Exactly. That's funny. And, Dr. Kalie, I want to jump into your backstory, just, kind of where you're from, and like walk us all through what your own wellness journey looked like, what it looked like at a young age, and then how it's really progressed to where you are right now.
Yeah. So, one of my favorite parts of my story is, first of all, I'm a chiropractor, which I think some of you guys know that out there. And so I have been brought up in chiropractic, and we've got 4 generations of chiropractors. I was the 32nd chiropractor in my family to graduate from chiropractic school. And so now I think we've got somewhere around 35 chiropractors in the family. And so we just keep growing the profession, just one family member at a time. And, a lot of times people ask, like, did you get forced into chiropractic? And part of the story that I love about my story is that neither one of my parents are chiropractors, but it is my dad's side of the family who kind of instilled the principle into us. But it really wasn't until I got into chiropractic school that I understood exactly what it was. I just knew that chiropractic was awesome, and that's what I wanted to do. But growing up as I was younger, I was in sports. I was, most of my friends would have considered me a tomboy. And so I was in all the great sports, played softball through college, did swimming up until I was going into my freshman year of high school, played basketball in high school. So I was just involved in sports all of my life. And then even in chiropractic school, got involved in the soccer team and tried to play slow pitch softball, but realized that was completely different from fast pitch, and I sucked. So I had to stay away from that. And then when I got into chiropractic school, it was probably like my third trimesters when I really started to like light bulbs started to go on with chiropractic and what it was all about. And biggest piece of that puzzle was becoming a part of Max Living and joining the family with that and joining that movement. And then people just really teaching me and building me up and helping me grow into the chiropractor person, sister that I am. And yeah.
That's awesome. And like, you were talking about how like, you have 35 chiropractors in your family that were all pretty like principled chiropractic philosophy. So was it just kind of like hearing it from other people that you really had to hear that? Like, was it that kind of thing that had to push you to really pursue it hardcore?
Well, it was one of those things, like, you grow up as a kid and like we would have our family reunions. And if you think about 32 chiropractors coming
I bet that's
together,
awesome though.
and literally like all they talk about was chiropractic. And so it just became a normal for me,
Right.
and so I didn't really understand like the subluxation aspect of it. I didn't understand that other people didn't take medications when they were growing up. Like I didn't know that until I started becoming exposed to other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, oh, like I lived a totally different life and more people need to live this life. And I think that's one thing where Max Living, like we come together as doctors and that's the life that we're trying to get people to live is you don't have to be dependent on medications. You don't have to be dependent on that kind of victim mentality lifestyle. It's, let's teach you how to eat well and exercise well and get adjusted well and think well and then your body gets to be well, and that's where we start to see people thriving and really focusing in there. So yeah, like I remember stories my grandfather used to tell around the campfire and his brothers and sisters and my aunts and uncles and stuff just became like it was almost normal and I didn't have the heart and the passion behind it, but going through school really kind of opened the eyes up and then like eyes open up even wider once you get into practice and you see it in person.
Yeah. And like, side note to that, what is that family reunion like for the people there that are not chiropractors?
One thing that's cool is that people that aren't chiropractors in my family love chiropractic and love our history
That's
just
great.
as much as the ones that are. So, it's great for everybody. They love to hear it. They love to talk about it. And yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome. And like, at the end of what you were just saying a second ago, you were just saying about like, as well, as far as like, it's also like thoughts and it's a whole lifestyle. And like,
Oh,
I think
for
that's
sure.
super important to like realize because obviously subluxation is, what we focus on. And it's the most important, but like thoughts and toxins, like all of that adds to it. That's why like it can take different times for somebody to heal. Or like you can't really say like, oh, you'll be better in this amount of time because we don't know how much stress you have. We don't know what you're eating like all of those things add up and we're so much more toxic as a society that you can't tell somebody they're going to be better in 3 visits because you don't know what their life is like or what it's been like the last 20 years. And, I think it's super interesting. And I think people really need to realize that it's so much more than that.
Yeah. And it's so important to recognize where people are when they come to your office.
Right.
When people come to see me, like most often they're beat, battered and bruised,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't know which way to turn. They don't know which way's up and they just want to get better, and that's where you just have to start is like, let's just give them a little flicker of hope first.
Right.
And then let's teach them how to live well. And then let's see them start to thrive. And that's where we start to see, that's how our office becomes a mostly referral office because patients see the benefits that they're having on their own. They see the changes that they're going through and they want their family and their friends to be able to live that way too. And the other thing too is that like I practice what I preach. I don't tell someone to go eat all organic food and then drive through McDonald's on the way home, or
Right.
I don't tell someone to go work out or do a specific type of a workout and then I'm sitting on the couch and not moving. Like I told you earlier, I'm about to go for a run once we get off of this call. I'm looking at the river right now, getting ready to go out there and go for a run down on the river. So I think that's another level of, if you want to see results and not just your own health, but if you're a doctor listening, or even if you're a parent, like practice what you preach and people start watching you and they start wanting what you want and then you start living this congruent lifestyle it just becomes a magnetic field.
Right, because people know when it's real or not. It's really easy to see now, like especially with social media. Like you can tell if people are actually like living what they're preaching, and I love that about you, Dr. Kalie, because you do live that way and you're able to inspire other people. I mean, like I think it's cool because I'm friends with Dr. Michael and Dr. Cassie, and like because you were able to inspire Dr. Cassie to go to chiropractic school, right? Was that the story, right?
Yeah, that's part of the story. Yeah, I mean, Cassie and I have been best friends since we were 8 years old.
That's so awesome. Love
yeah,
them.
and yeah, no kidding. I do too. They're actually coming here tomorrow. I get to see them, so
That's
it's
awesome.
good. And her story, yeah, I think really that was a God moment that kind of like set me in the path of helping her find her own way and her own passion and their own amazingness, in itself. And that's another thing, if I can just give a shout out to those two, and what we have going on is the Challenge Ninjas.
Yep.
And that's just making a massive impact on our each of our communities, but then communities around the whole entire globe. Like we're seeing people check in from different countries that I can't even pronounce,
Yeah,
and so it's so cool.
I definitely want to give Challenge Ninjas a shout out as well. And it's really cool. They put out challenges that you can keep up on social media and doable at all levels. And I mean, it's legit a hard workout. I've done a bunch of them and love them every time. And you can mix them in with the workouts you already do, or make it your only workout. You're gonna feel it either way. So I mean, I love what you guys are doing. It's definitely building the community. And then it also helps people, like, you build that community, like you were saying, that maybe people are coming in from all of these different places. And then you're sharing stuff about chiropractic, and maybe that's their first seed that's planted there. And you don't know how far that reaches, which is really cool.
For sure. And when you even just think about like what we're building, what we saw was that people just don't know where to start sometimes when it comes to trying to get fit. And what we realized was when people don't know where to start, you just freeze. And then you just don't make any movement. And so then you just decide that you're not going to work out. So we wanted to create an avenue that just allows people to just focus in on what they have already. Like God gave us a machine and we just have to go work it. And so we're just giving you the tools and the step-by-step ways to go ahead and actually work your machine and make it work for you. And like you said, it's building a community, and the people that are changing and the testimonies that we get that you guys don't get to see is just phenomenal to see. And that's what keeps us going. It's 100% free. It's doable in your own home. You don't need any equipment. You can do it when you're on vacation. Like we've never had you use any equipment. So we're trying to make it as easily accessible, but it's still hard. Like I still break a sweat. And there was a few months where I just did Challenge Ninjas because I wanted to see how much of an effect it had. And my body was in the best shape of its life, look wise. And now I'm training for a half Ironman. And so I have to obviously do a little bit more than just Challenge Ninjas. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I am still doing Challenge Ninjas, and that's a big part of my training. It's for a lot of the core work and the body work and the muscle building and stuff. And so it's great for all levels of life. And I think I love it. And, like we're getting ready to go on to the next level with it. We're meeting in May, figuring out the next steps that we need to take to bring it to the next level. So,
nice.
But we are committed to always making sure that there is a free avenue for people, so that there is not obstacles in people's way.
That's cool.
But yeah, we're ready to go to the next level with it.
I love that. And I'm going to put it all in the show notes and whenever I post it online, put the link and everything. Cool. But like everything is just at Challenge Ninjas, right? On Facebook and Instagram.
Yep, pretty much at Challenge Ninjas, Facebook, Instagram, and then we have a website also, which is just challengeninjas.co. I think if you wrote in challengeninjas.com, I have it so it goes to that, but we're trying to be a little different with the co.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, no, and you guys will love it. I mean, all three of them have really amazing energy and amazing chemistry, and it's just, it's a lot of fun. So definitely check it out.
Dr. Cassie has the best jokes ever. So if you're having a bad day, just go stroll through our Instagram feed and like you'll laugh at least once. I promise.
Yeah, and to give Dr. Cassie and Dr. Michael another shout out, they actually came on the podcast a while back.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the link in because I don't know the exact episode number right off, but you guys can hear their stories as well because they're both awesome too. So yeah, you were just talking about your half Ironman training. So
yeah,
what started even you wanting to do that? Like, just dive into all of it because I'm interested to hear it.
Yeah, so because you're getting ready to do a triathlon yourself.
I am. Yeah, I know when I was messaging you and you're like, yeah, you've done a few tries before and you're doing the Ironman, so I know it's a whole nother level. And since you've done them both, like you understand that probably.
Yeah. So I started getting into, so like I said before, in my past when I was growing up, I was always involved in sports and in just stuff, right? Like competition, whatnot. And I missed that. I missed not being able to be on a team sport, not being able to race, not being able to do something. Because it's hard with our schedules, like to go and get on a team sport and do something is just difficult. Or I guess I just didn't make time for it. But I also, in the past, hated running. And so I don't like when I don't like things. And I always try to like change that mentality with it. And so I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up for a triathlon because I like to swim and I feel like anybody can bike and I'm going to start loving to run. And so I signed up for an Olympic distance in Chicago. This was 4 years ago. I started doing this whole maybe 5 now, but let's say 4. Started doing this whole process, and also because I was wanting to change some things in my life that just I felt like weren't congruent with where I was going. And so I wanted to stop going out and stop doing 20-year-old stuff, you know what I mean? I was getting near my 30s and just wanted to start like settling in and being congruent with what I was teaching and preaching to a higher level. So I was like, okay, if I'm training for a triathlon, like I'm not going to be going out and partying and doing that whole thing. So started doing that, started training, started getting into it. I did it's like a super sprint in Galena. That was my first one, and which is if you guys aren't from the Chicago area, it's a super cute town, old historic town. Super hilly bike course.
Is it a super sprint? Is that like even shorter than a
No, it's longer than a sprint.
Oh, extra super.
Yeah, it's a little bit extra super sprint. And the run, which I had no idea in my preparation for this, the run is like uphill for a quarter of a mile.
Oh, it's awful.
And it was all, like right off the bat uphill. So that was fun. And then I did the Chicago tri, and then I did a few like the following years. I didn't do any last year. I took some time off just because some things in my life were happening and just didn't feel like doing it. But 2 years ago, I signed up for the half Ironman in Racine. And I didn't train properly. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I wouldn't finish well. So I never showed up for the race. And that has been like eating at my soul for the last 2 years. So this year I was like, all right, this is the year I'm going to do it and it's going to happen. I ended up getting a coach who was phenomenal, and when I met with him initially, he's like, I don't do beginner and I don't do intermediate. I only do advanced elite. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, how do I sign up for that? And it's just been such a great thing. Like, so I have this Garmin watch, and it's connected. I turn it on whenever I go for my runs or my swims or my bikes, and he literally sees like I think every breath that I take, and he analyzes it, and so I don't even have to think. I just have to go and do what he assigns me to do, and so it's taken like the brain work away from it, and so like. I don't know if you're like me, but for me, like to get to the next level, I know I can do the sprints. I know I can do the Olympics. Could I have done them better? Yeah, probably. But I know that I struggle with like, I don't know what to do to get to the next level. Mm-hmm. So this whole like getting a coach has just been like a breakthrough for me. And like he'll text me, he analyzes my workouts and like responds within hours. So it's just been great. And like, he'll even like
Awesome.
text and be like, oh yeah, you did like amazing job. Like that was perfect. That's exactly what I was expecting or whatever. And like, just to hear that, like you're doing something right. I think that's important too. And I think that can lead into even how we take care of our patients, to just like give them some positive feedback, you know?
Right. No, for sure. For sure. And like, he's probably like, Dr. Kalie, are you putting that Garmin on your dog and making him run sprints?
Yeah. I've thought about it. I'm like, how can I get out of doing this workout without him knowing, you know?
Yeah, no, that's really cool though. Obviously I knew there were triathlon trainers, but like I never thought of them being able to track your info like that through like a Garmin or a
it's
Strava.
like
That's
ridiculous.
I love that though. That's cool.
Yeah, I had no idea either. And then he started doing it, and I was like, oh, like he can see like he knows how fast I'm going, if I'm walking, if I'm, stopping paddling on my bike, my swims. Like the first swim I did with my Garmin, like I hadn't been in the pool for over 2 years. So it's been like, I'm finally a little bit better now, but like getting my stamina up there. And he was like, why did you rest for 90 seconds instead of 60 seconds? I was like, listen, buddy, if I didn't rest for 90 seconds, I'd be at the bottom of the pool. I promise you.
So with the running, you said like the running is probably the hardest part for you.
Yeah, I think I've actually I kind of like to run now, like going through this whole process. I actually like to run. In swimming, I think that I mean, I enjoy swimming, but for the half Ironman, it's over a mile of a swim.
Ooh, yeah.
And so that's just a whole nother ball game.
And like psychologically too, because like you're open water and you can't just like stand up or grab the wall. Like,
right.
What else are you going to do? Like just float on your back? Because I mean, that kind of messes with you too. Even if you're fine, I could see where that could really mess with a lot of people. That's where I'm kind of struggling right now, because I've never done an open water swim. I've just been training pool, and it's not like the distance that you're doing, but it's still more than I've done ever open water. So like, I can see how that could mess with people.
Yeah, and the other added thing is that there's a whole bunch of people around you
kicking your face. Did you get kicked in the face ever?
No, I didn't. I'm that person that like waits till everybody goes in the water, and I kind of stick to the outside of the group.
You're like the shark bait.
Yeah, like like people like I don't know, it depends on how you want to deal with it, but I kind of just like to be on the side, not in the middle of it. I feel like if you can swim at the pack, you're good, and stay there and do your thing and just keep going straight. You're good, and then you'll make up for the rest of it on the bike and the run.
Right.
But I don't like, some people get into like kicking and clawing. I mean, it gets vicious in there. So
Crazy.
Yeah, just be careful with that. I remember my first swim, it was freezing cold in the water. And so I felt like my lungs like shrunk to the size of an apple, and like I just couldn't breathe. And I had like a mini panic attack, and I thought I was going to like drown. And so it's just like working, like you've got to be mentally strong too and prepared to like go out there. And they, like if you really have a panic attack, like they have boats and stand-up paddle boards and stuff out there that are typically there to help you. But I remember my long, when I did the Olympic distance, I swam, and that's about a half of a mile swim. And I remember getting to the end of it, and I could see like where I was getting out of the water, like I wasn't that far off. But that swim, like my mom and a couple friends were there, and they were like kind of like walking along with me. And I remember stopping in the water and like treading water a little bit and looking over to them. I'm like, get me out of this water. And they're like, it's right there. Like, just keep going. I'm like, no, I'm done. Like, get me out of here. I'm done. And so, yeah, that was just, I finished, I got through, and I did the bike and the run, and I did well. But, yeah, your mind just messes with you, which is, when my coach asked me like what my goal is for this half Ironman, I was like, I want to be able to show up on race day and be confident, and I want to be able to have fun. Because if I feel like if we can't have fun in what we're doing, then what's the point of doing it? Like, if you're just like miserable in everything that you're doing, then you've got to figure out what you're doing wrong and fix it.
Definitely. No, I love that. And like, I love how you are setting those bigger goals. I had a guest on not too long ago, and I thought what he was talking about was super interesting, because He was saying, just talking about like the importance of setting a massive goal, because if you set a massive goal like an Ironman, you have to actually do something about it. And plus you're telling people, so they're checking in and it's like, oh, is he really going to do it? Like that kind of thing. Plus they want to help keep you accountable. But you know, if you signed up for a 5K, it's easy to drop out the day before, you know, it's just like, and you could apply that to anything, but just like if you set a massive goal, how much more powerful it can be most of the time, because you actually have to do something about it.
Well, yeah, that too. That, and somehow I convinced my boyfriend and Dr. Michael to do this with me.
That's cool. I didn't know they were. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have convinced them to start training and do this whole process. So they've gotten the bikes and they're signed up and ready to go. But this is a whole new journey for them. Like, you know, for all of us, we've just been doing Challenge Ninja. So it's like, holy moly, like what are we doing right now?
That's awesome.
Trying to run, you know what I mean? So it's fun. It's a fun, you got to have partners. And I know that I can check in with those two and be like, I just don't want to do this right now. And then like, I'll get feedback like, nope, you're going to go do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like on Sunday, I was telling another group of people this and on Sunday I was like, man, this just feels like a great day for a rest day. You know, like sometimes it just feels like a great day. And then I thought about it as a couple hours went by and I was like, what sounds even better than a rest day today is finishing the race in October, happy and excited and just full of life. And so I went for my run, I did it and I enjoyed it and it was fun. But sometimes you just have to like walk yourself through like, okay, if I don't do this, what does that look like? If I do this, what does that look like?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's interesting too, because it's like, you know, it's obviously it's important to listen to your body. And like, if you're injured or like really need a rest, that's one thing. But like before you decide on that rest day, like, are you actually tired or is it just like your mind kind of messing with you? Because, you know, that's easy to get those two mixed up.
Yeah. So like this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, and today I've been doing a juice and bone broth cleanse just to get some stuff, you know, out. I do that kind of a reset every once in a while. And so last night I was supposed to go run or swim 2,600 meters. And that's a lot. That's like almost double of what I'm supposed to do in the race. And it's broken up in drills and stuff. So it's not like just straight 2,600 meters. But like I knew at that point, and I messaged my coach, I'm like, listen, like I'm doing this juice and bone broth cleanse. Like I just don't feel like I'm going to be up for finishing that well. Are you okay with me doing a bike workout instead? And then shifting a swim workout into Friday. And so, you know, and I just love his heart and his response. He's like, you know, right now in training, like things can be changed. And he's like, his response, and I love it, which is why we get along so well, is like, I just want you to be able to have fun right now still. Otherwise it's going to become mundane and you're not going to want to do it. So yeah, like switch it up. Let's make it happen. And so that's just good to be able to have somebody to kind of walk that through. So I don't feel like I'm failing anything.
Right.
By switching it up or anything. Like I'm still getting the work done. Like I'm still going for a run today. And actually what's kind of crazy, like I haven't eaten anything solid since Monday afternoon. And it's what's today? Thursday. And I feel fabulous. Like I don't have a lack of energy. Where in the past doing a juice cleanse or bone broth cleanse, I would have. So that just goes to show me that I am like my health right now is on point, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, the body's definitely amazing and what it can do. Like it can do more than what you think on less like physical fuel
it's crazy.
That you really need. It really is crazy. That's awesome. But I mean,
I'm not recommending like go run a half marathon or anything. Like that is not my success tip. However, it is for longevity wise, you know, like I'm making sure that I'm like giving my body a reset so I can get fully into ketosis. And that's another thing is I'm trying to do this half Ironman in ketosis, with small, you know, I'll give myself one day to kind of get out of ketosis. That way it can be kind of a cyclical thing. So I'm not staying and just burning fat. Cause I talked to some other people and they're like, you need to be able to burn carbs for your adrenals, for your thyroid, for your hormones, for that kind of stuff. It's more important to actually put a little bit of carbs into your diet than to just strictly stay fat. But
right.
That's like, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, you can go talk to like Mark Sisson and look at his endurance stuff, and you'll see that he's, he's fully keto on some of that stuff. So that's
right.
To each their own. I think my body functions well on one day of doing whatever the heck you want to do, which is like one meal. I go to brunch on Sundays and I enjoy what I want, basically.
Yeah. No, it's definitely just listening to your body, like you were saying, and just like figuring out exactly what works for you. And I think that, yeah, that's super important. And do you think after all of this training you've done so far, like, you think you would do another half or do a whole Ironman?
I don't know. People ask me like, are you going to ever do a whole? And I think that's in the back of my brain. But I don't want to like commit to even saying that.
So you get the half in?
Yeah, I want to see how well I do on this half.
Let me see what my halfway point is.
Yeah. Because I talked to my coach. I'm like, well, really, what's the difference between a half and a full? He's like, it's just another level of commitment. He's like, you've got to be good with like sometimes like 4 to 7 hour workouts in a day,
Yeah, that's a huge commitment for sure.
Yeah, and so it's the early mornings and the late nights and the afternoons, and so yeah, he's like that's the biggest struggle that most people have. But obviously it's doable because a lot of people do it, like it's doable. So, and even a couple of our friends do them, and it's doable, so it's all creating the discipline and the habits behind it, but then also too, like creating that space to do it and the priority behind it. So it just depends on what I want. So I just wanted, I think today marks 227 days until the half Ironman. So we'll see how I feel. I know my body's already changing as far as like shape and endurance wise, but there's still almost a full year to go,
Right. No, that's cool. And no, I love that you've really been strategic with the planning and the training, just so you don't injure yourself long term, because some people jump into it too soon and then that leads to some problems. So that's just cool. And I'm excited to see how the whole training process goes, and to see how, Dr. Michael and your boyfriend do too. It's going to be cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. Now they are taking the approach of not having a coach. So I'll be interested to see how well. I mean, the thing is with those two is, like, I feel like you could put them in the middle of the worst scenario and they would get out of it somehow. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like those type of people that, like, drop them off at exactly. Like drop them off at the half Ironman today, and like they'll figure out how to finish it. It may not look pretty all the way through, but they just have this like grit inside of them that just like they just go,
Mm-hmm.
And like you can see that for both of them when you watch their like challenge ninja videos and stuff, and like see them doing their workouts
Michael's
and stuff.
Crazy. He has the vest on and the mask, and
and then Tim like kills it with all the burpees. I don't know, it's just like they're just a different. I'm like, yeah, you guys can go work out together. Cassie and I will go sit over here and have coffee.
They'll be doing burpees like in between each mile of the Ironman.
Yeah, right. Like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's funny. No, I love that. And like, Dr. Kalie, I know you have the training going on. You have like, you guys have been putting out a lot of content on social media, but like, do you guys have anything you're working on in the future that you just want to put out there and share with people, or just continuing to train, continuing to put out more stuff on Facebook, Instagram?
I feel like I have got my hands in a couple different buckets right now. So shifting into what my brother and I are doing. So we have our own podcast, and that's called Tea Time with the Judges.
That's awesome.
And so we film live on Tuesdays and Tuesdays and Fridays. So we do that live off of our Facebook page. And then that gets thrown in to our podcast every couple weeks. So it's called Tea Time with the Judges. And we go through all different sorts of health topics on Tuesdays. And then on Fridays, it's more of about a 10 to 15 minute segment, where Tuesdays is about a half an hour, a little bit over half an hour long. And Fridays, we go through the 5 essentials. So we give the tips on 5 essentials every single Friday. We're coming up on almost a whole year of doing that. That'll be a year this summer.
That's awesome.
And so him and I are really trying to focus on some other things. We have a closed group called Dr. U that we're really just helping people answer questions and be a little bit more conservative and private in there for people to ask more personal questions. And that's really where we post some questions. We're going to start doing some webinars and stuff in there. And then shift over to Challenge Ninjas. We're meeting in May. We're going to work on getting some merchandise out as far as like t-shirts and stuff like that. Cool. For people. We're also creating a closed group for Challenge Ninjas also. It's called the Ninja Vault. And so we'll get some people out there, and that's just going to be a space where we can do some other webinars and some exclusive offers for people in the Ninja Vault. So we're super excited about those types of things. And then personally, just training, being with my people. All my favorite people are coming into town this weekend. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, just really trying to be a light for chiropractic and help chiropractic get back on the map and stay there in its purity. And not lose its identity in other avenues, and just know that the body has the ability to heal. We've been created and designed to heal, and we just have to start honoring that system again and seeing people get back to that. I get to go speak in Boston in the beginning of April at a philosophy event. It's called Berkshire Philosophy. So I'm super excited about that and grateful for the opportunity to do that. Just trying to be a voice of hope and of reason in people's healthcare. And I had on my vision board when I was in chiropractic school to be a face of healthcare. And I really feel like that's just like my mission right now, is to like how many people can I get in front of? How many ears can I have listening to me? And what can we do to advance this mission of healthcare, true healthcare, not the kind that they're trying to promote in hospitals and stuff, but healthcare. Right.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love your passion and what your mission is. And I'm super excited to be able to support you and really share all of that. And like, I know that you were talking about how to connect with Challenge Ninjas is just at Challenge Ninjas, but like, what's the best way to follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can just, my name, Kalie Judge, at Kalie Judge. I used to have some like weird fancy name, and I was like, people just need to know my name. Right? Like,
right.
Doesn't need to be some like fancy name.
Is it Dr. Kalie Judge?
No. Okay. It's just at Kalie Judge. I took the doctor off and just, I just want to be a person too.
Right.
Like,
you don't want to be
like
that's at K Swizzle.
I could be DJ KJ. Exactly. I mean, we can go down to all the nicknames.
Hey, I'm KJ too. I think it's a good.
Me too. It's fun. It's a good name.
It is.
Yeah. Instagram is just at Kalie Judge. Obviously go follow at Challenge Ninjas. Facebook, you can friend request me. I typically respond and let anybody in. I've been getting some weird requests lately though, so I'm kind of a little bit more leery on the Facebook requests. So if I don't friend you, or if you do want to friend me on Facebook, like send a little message with it so I know that you're not some like weird, I don't know, there's just been some like red flag people, like I'm like just the last 2 weeks, like just weird requests that we have no friends and stuff, so it's just weird.
Yeah, if you have 0 posts and 0 friends on it.
Exactly, like don't friend request me. I'm not going to be your only friend.
I want you to be their first friend. That could be That's
so funny. if I don't respond to your request, like send me a message and we can be friends. And best case scenario would be to hug it out in person. But can't always make that happen, but sometimes we can.
Yeah. Hey, Kalie, just closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's been your biggest takeaway through your whole journey so far. But if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Oh, this is so good. Figure out who you are. And I mean that with like the biggest piece of my heart. Because I feel like we go through life and we get to, especially like now with social media age, like you'll go follow people and see people and just like become an unauthentic version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once you just dive down deep and figure out who God has created you to be and who you are in Christ and what you get to do for him and for that mission, that's when life starts to get fun. That's when doors of opportunity start to open up, is when you get to be that authentic version of who God created you to be. So that's just my biggest key to anybody that I speak to, is figure out who you are. And I mean like who you are, not who people think you should be, but who you are, what you like. And if you don't like to run, and if you don't like to, like if you like to go sew something, you know, like if you like to go kayaking, go kayak. If you don't like to go paintballing, like don't ever go paintballing and waste your time. Like go do stuff that you like to do and have fun doing it, because if you're not having fun, then what's the point of being here?
Right. No, that's perfect, Dr. Kalie. I love it. And just love everything that you're doing. So again, just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm just excited for all of your work and just the positive message that you're putting out there.
Awesome. Thanks, girl. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Dr. Kalie. I love the work she's doing, so be sure to give her a follow on social media to keep up with everything that she's been working on. You can find her social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Dr. Kalie's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Dr. Kalie, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.